Alright, so how's it going, guys? I've been requested to make a jersey swap tutorial. I posted a TikTok about saying I'm making one soon, and so here is the tutorial. There will be a fully uncut version on my Patreon. That will be in the link in the description if you want to go subscribe to that. And you guys can get all early access tutorials. You can get uncut tutorials. You can get uncut graphics. You can get a bunch of PSDs I'll be posting there too. It's a cheap $5 subscription. Just it helps me out a ton, and it could help you guys out in the future and get better with your craft. So, basically, realistically, we're just gonna start off with the pen tool. And here are just a bunch of assets I already got before I start recording. It's got the helmet, the patches, the numbers, and then the pant stripe. You can't find a proper helmet. I kind of lined it up before I started recording, made sure this helmet was able to be worked properly into place to the fact where I can make this tutorial for you guys. You always want to try, when you're trying to take a helmet off another person, you always want to line it up, make sure it's in a similar pose. You also want to make sure it's the same helmet style. That's very important for a realistic swap. You can do it with any other helmet, right? For this example, George Pickens wears a Speed Flex, so I got a Speed Flex helmet of a Chiefs player, right? But I mean, I could do it with Patrick Mahomes and his Vices. It just wouldn't look as realistic because that's not the helmet he wears in real life. Right, and that's perfect. Yeah, that should be perfect. And now we can click Control J now. And now we just have a jersey layer. And see how there's some leakage. We can come back with a spot healing brush after the whole swap's done and get that stuff. What I like to do here is I like to mask this already. I click Control or Command for Mac, and click the image layer right here, and I'll select it. You can do that with any of these. Select, right? And I just like to do that, and then come down here and click mask. So, because sometimes the content aware or the generative fill, whenever you're trying to remove assets, will not work properly, and you have to use content aware fill. And if it's not masked, it won't. It'll like go out here, right? Instead of just being on the jersey. So pretty much right now we're just trying to get rid of all pieces on the jersey. Make a gradient map right here. gradient map, and then we're just gonna control or alt click right here to clipping mask it, right? Now we're gonna come here, we're gonna click I, and we're gonna click one of the darkest points of the jersey, right? So we have that, looks like, and then we're gonna click X to switch the colors that we did earlier. We're gonna find like the lightest point, which is right there. You're gonna come in here, you're gonna put your darkest color on the left, so it'll be this color, and then click OK, and then your brightest color, which will be right there on the right, and then you're gonna come down here and get the true color, so like right about there, and you're gonna come in the middle, and then make that the true color, and boom. Now we can hide this layer. You see, so we're gonna put it underneath the number, and we can play with this, right? If it doesn't look good, what I like to do sometimes, right, is I will make this a smart object and come to camera raw. We'll load camera raw. And we're gonna do the color all the way down. Finish what we did with the black and white. Now we're gonna lower the exposure, make it darker. And now we make it darker, and see how the color gets a lot darker now. So we go back to our gradient map, and we keep playing with this true color until we get a color we like and we think is good. And then this is our NFL. We're gonna put the NFL patch actually above that. So we have the Chiefs red with the Chiefs number. And now we're gonna come here and we're gonna hide this again. And then we're gonna grab our jersey stripe. And we're gonna put this here and connect it like there, right? And so now we can warp this. Oh, we can expand it again, rotate it. And now we can click that. Now we can control T and warp it to how we think it should look to match the jersey curves. Like that. That looks so good to me. And now we can see right there, and I can just drag it a little bit more to have it go off the edge. And yeah, that looks pretty good to me. I'll take maybe some more, just a little bit more. Right there. It's about perfect, it looks like. Looks pretty good to me. So now, what we can do next, same thing we did earlier, kind of. We're just gonna grab this now, like their little AFC logo they have, the Lamar Hunt logo. And we're just gonna put it right here underneath his hand. So same thing we did earlier, we're gonna put it just right here. We're gonna use the same exposure layer, put there a low flow. Got a low flow brush, and we're just gonna go underneath the hand to add a realistic looking shadow. Like that. And so now that's pretty much the jersey portion. And we don't even have to necessarily do much with this. The undershirt, I'm probably just gonna make it pure white. So we can do that later. So next we can do the pants. So now what we can do, since the jersey's done, we can come here and shift click from the top layer of the jersey to the bottom layer, and then click Control G, and it masks it all together. So we have jersey layer. You don't have to name it. Naming stuff makes it a lot easier. But now we can come here and just go along with this. And that's pretty good to me. Looks pretty good to me. So now if we bring back the jersey layer and the main layer, we have the pants and the jersey complete. What I like to do sometimes is to go over the creases. Actually, some people don't know this. I'll merge these two together real quick, and then I'll add another exposure layer. Actually, I'll add a levels layer this time to kind of keep it just different. I'm gonna lower the levels, make it more darker. and invert and mask it, not mask it, but like select it with the control click. And then you can kind of just follow the creases right here. They kind of give those folds. You can switch between your colors to make it lighter and darker. So I like to get a line and then kind of like fade it in. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it for that one. And then right here, probably right here, right? I like to also kind of follow the creases a little bit of the original one, just to kind of keep it more like smooth and right. And so once you have all that done, you can kind of probably a little bit on the edge right here, right? And once that's done, I like to click on the mask. I like to feather it a little bit to kind of just like smoothen it out. Now we're gonna deselect, and now if you want to look, you can kind of see the creases come back and off. If you don't like how that looks, you can bring the feather. You can mess with the feather, just like that. See, I think that looks pretty good. Blends it in together pretty well. And what you can also do, you can also use your magic wand tool, right? And go onto your numbers. And just click on the magic wand tool, right? And select the white parts of the numbers, and add a black and white layer, just to kind of get rid of some of that like tints and stuff like that. And so now for the undershirt, actually first we can do the same thing we did where we control G, select and all that stuff, and then these pants. So now since the pants and the jersey are done, and this layer can go underneath both. Actually no, this layer can't go underneath the pants. So you're gonna need to come here. Actually select the bottom of the pants, but you can go over top of the jersey since it's gonna be underneath the jersey layer. And this French, all we're gonna do is the same thing we did with the pants. We're just gonna desaturate it and change the color. To do is convert to a smart object, filter, camera roll, and just color. And then turn on the vibrance and saturation, and you can mess with this stuff if you want, like the blacks, the shadows, the highlights, if you really want to. Just to add a little bit more detail. And so now, so that's everything pretty much but the helmet and the hands and the gloves. So eventually you can either select the gloves or you can just color over it. In this case, we'll just select the gloves to make it easier. So now we can go over here, control J, I'm gonna bring it up here with this underneath the jersey layer. Now we're gonna do it with this too, the little sweatband. And since these are the same colors as that Nike stripe on the pants, the Nike logo, you can just come here, select, make sure you have it all selected, and now we can control J that too, control J, bring it up here. Now we can go back to the pants, find our hue and saturation layer, and just drag it up here. That's the wrong hue and sat layer, this one. You just drag it up here and go clip and mask, and then so by holding Alt and dragging, that just duplicates it. And now we can come here with our black brush, make it hard, full flow. We can just use the black brush and get rid of, make sure I'm the right one, and get rid of like the red on the Nike logos, Nike swoosh. Control G all this right here, and name this undershirt plus accessories. So now we have everything besides the helmet done. The helmet is the hardest part, which is why a lot of people choose not to do the helmet and find images that don't have helmets. So what I'm gonna go ahead and grab the pen tool again, and we're gonna grab from here the chin strap all the way up to the helmet. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna throw the helmet on top, and now we can go ahead and like kind of line it up, try and size it up, right? You might be like, hey, this isn't like the right, the right angle, but you want to get as close as you can, and you can go ahead and Control T, and you want to right click and go to warp, and now you can go ahead and click these like corner pieces and like stuff right here, and trying to warp it into place to like the best of your ability to make it look as realistic as you can. Like here, you want to try and line this up right. You just want to try and make everything like look smoothly and like cohesive. For example, like this is not perfect, but I mean it's getting there, and you just want to keep playing with it until you get something that you are proud of and you think is good enough for what you're trying to make. So for example, that isn't awful, and now we can just go ahead and clipping mask it, and any pieces that went over the side are now not available. And so now we can go ahead and select everything that's not selected already, right? See, for example, right here, we can go ahead and just move that down now and kind of line it up. And now what we can do, we can go through and select everything that wasn't selected for the jersey or for the helmet. So like right here, we can go ahead and do that. Everything that's pretty much not part of the top shell, we can do this right here. This part. Now we can come down here and click Control J. Now we can go hue and saturation, click on it. Make sure you're on the actual layer. But now we can click like this color right here. We can click colorize and see how it brings the red with us. And now we can play with the saturation and the darkness and stuff like that until we get a red that we think matches well. For example, I think that's probably too saturation. Like probably about a red close to that. And see how that looks pretty good to me. And now it looks like he is wearing the Chiefs helmet. Now what we're gonna do is the same thing here with the clips. We're gonna take the same red, clipping mask onto that. The same thing we did earlier with the gloves. We're just gonna use our black brush and try and max out the Oakley logo. And so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and go around this and select our face mask. Now we can click this, but now what we want to do is get rid of inside the shell, or inside the face mask, so like anything about his face. So what some people like to do is just do one by one and then delete. What I do, I just do it all together and then delete it. Just, there's really no difference between it. It's just how you want to do it. But now we have everything selected, we can go ahead and just click delete. Now we just have the face mask here, and I like to convert it to a smart object and go to camera raw again. And then we can go ahead and do the little color desaturation and that. And if you see like it's like really like low quality, sometimes what I like to do is I like to add some noise reduction, color noise reduction. And I'll come up here and add some grain to add some texture back. And see how it kind of adds just less like, so that makes it less smooth, and then also kind of brings back the quality a little bit. And the grain just adds texture. And we can do with the light now. You can just mess with this. Same thing we did with the pants. Since it wasn't a pure white, it's more of a gray. It's not gonna, if you just desaturate it, it's not gonna be white. So now we have the Chiefs face mask is white, so that's why we made that white. And now I think we're pretty close to done now. Now here's where we can do some post-production stuff, right? So we see, actually before we get to that, go back to the helmet, go back to this hue and saturation layer. No, not this one. This one with the lower. And see, this is not meant to be red since that's like a little screw. So you just want to go ahead here and just remove the little screw and keep it like a grayish white color. There we go, perfect. And so now what we can do, we can Control Alt Shift E this. Now the whole swap here. We can come back down here and take this red color that we've been using, right? Clippy mask it, Control I. Oops. Control I. We can just paint over these spots right here, right? These spots. And color over any of these like things that don't need to be colored over. So we can go over this, So anything that was accidentally just got colored on, like that shouldn't be colored. And anything that's like hard, right? It looks like a hard cut. We can just come back here and just kind of fade it out a little bit like this. Right here, we can kind of fade this out a little bit right here. But we gotta make sure this gets put red again. And there's that. Oh, that's a little bit of that. Now we can come here and not convert, but like mask that out again by right clicking or control clicking. I mean, we can go back to our content aware. Like anything like this, we can just kind of make it sure it's soft. Make sure we're on our actual mat or our player. We just go over this, right? And it kind of just like gets rid of like the leftover creases and like color leaks that shouldn't be there. You might say right now it doesn't really look that good. But what I like to do is if you do have Topaz Labs to use it, if not, then it's not a big deal. You can just use it camera raw. What I like to do is I like to convert this to a smart object now. And I will go into Topaz Adjust 5. And I like to go to Clarity, Finishing Touches, Transparency, and play with this a little bit. Right? Add and subtract, and I click Apply. And I go to Crisp, and then play with the transparency of the opacity of this, and click Apply. Click OK. And see how that kind of adds more texture and stuff to the jersey. And I'll convert it back to another smart object. Filter camera raw now. And I like to add some camera raw. So now we can go some brightness, some exposure, I guess, some contrast, some highlights. You can play with this, just make sure you can tell it looks good in your eyes. Pretty much whatever makes it look more realistic to you. Play with this. I like to give it a little bit more blue of a tint just because it looks cleaner in my opinion. And effects, texture, clarity. I like to add grain, just kind of makes it a little bit more like it was taken off of camera. But you can also add some noise reduction and sharpness too as well. Then come to color mixer and start playing with the hues and stuff. Like if there's something that needs to be a little bit more of one color, like the oranges could be a little bit more red or a little more yellow, for example, right? The reds might need to be a little bit more like brighter or less red, right? We can just play with these like oranges, yellows, for all that, for example, right? But this looks pretty good to me, so now we click OK. And my jersey swaps, I do a different type of retouch. For my jersey swaps, I would like to do a levels layer and come down like this. Control I with a 10%. We're gonna make sure we clip it and brush with a 10% flow and soft brush. We can then just go like right here underneath like the jersey and stuff. Right here, it'll be a little bit darker because it's a shadow. Light, we're just gonna do curves, and we're gonna mess with this one up here and raise that one, and invert the mask, and with and right here on the skin a little bit, kind of like make the skin a little more intense. Color cup layer, and now we do 3 strip. Sometimes it does that. You just click Control Z and just redo it, and I will lower the opacity on this. Kind of just makes the pinks more pink, the reds more. It just kind of vibrates everything a little bit. And now here's kind of the final retouch compared to the actual swap. So now we can get a little before and after if you would like. Just a little before and after of the swap. Then for the background, what you would want to do is pretty much this one could work actually. You just want to make it a little bit like this. What I like to do, I like to just click select subject. I'll let that load. And I'll click generative fill and just let it remove it. So you just will put it underneath the swap now. Brightness and contrast layer. Just to kind of like pull him out of the background a little bit, make him more his own thing. And now what you also can to before you do it, make sure you get rid of that just so there's no leftover like leakage. You can also add a outer glow layer right here if you want, just to kind of separate him a little bit more if you would like. Like you can do that and lower the opacity a little bit, just a little bit more of an outer glow layer, just that it kind of separates him from the background. You don't necessarily have to. I'll do it on this one just because I've already done it. And you're gonna merge them all together by clicking Control Alt Shift E, and it'll merge all visible layers. And you make it a smart object. We're back to camera raw. And now we're just kind of blending now. So now we can go to color, like temperature, right? Let's write the cool, do a more cooler temperature, vibrant, saturated. You can go up a little bit. We're out of vignette because vignettes just kind of make everything more photogenic. You can add the texture and clarity if you want. We already did it on this, so you don't want to go too crazy hard. Now we can add grain. So it just adds grain to the whole image. And then we can go some sharpening, noise reduction, color noise reduction. And that's pretty much the whole swap. If you want to see before and after, we can get rid of the mask. Right, so we have the before, the after, before, after. And this will be going on my Instagram for you guys to see and enjoy. So thank you guys for watching this video and watching my tutorial on how to do a jersey swap. If this helped any of you guys, please make sure you leave a comment, subscribe. For your Patreon viewers, thank you for your donations and thank you for subscribing. It really means a ton to me. And it just shows me that you guys want more tutorials pumped out like this for you guys. So, peace.